Guided by the hot hand of Boomer Esiason, the Cleveland Browns. Bernie Kosar hopes he can match the firepower. An ABC Thursday night NFL special.
In Pittsburgh, Al Michaels and Frank Gifford with you. 10 plays in a drive that consumed more than 6 minutes, and the 21-yard touchdown pass from Elway to Watson. Denver on top 7-0 as Rich Karlis kicks off for the Broncos. Donnie Elder is back to receive, and he takes it a yard in, and he'll come out with it. To the chagrin of the crowd, you could hear the collective groan, and they were right. He takes it back only to the 13-yard line as you look at Watson's catch again.
Well, it's a little fake now. Elway will pump, take a quick look. Watson has given him a look as if he's going to turn to the post, breaks it back out against Harvey Clayton, had Clayton spun completely around. And the man who is very responsible for getting Denver in position to get that 21-yard touchdown is Sammy Winder. Some nifty run and a couple of very fine first down runs.
So the Steelers trying to generate something offensively. 1st and 10 from their own 14-yard line. 7:50 to go in the half. 7-0 Broncos. Pollard. And that nets only a couple. So the Steelers shut out last week, and they've been shut out now for in excess of 83 minutes. Mecklenburg makes the tackle.
He's everywhere. Mecklenburg lining up here at linebacker, going down the line of scrimmage, staying out of the traffic, and then stepping into the hole as it develops and getting in there for the stop. And Frank Pollard gets a couple of yards out of that. We mentioned earlier the damage to Joe Montana, the 49ers' back was not as extensive as it was thought it was going to be. Surgery today, and at halftime we're going to be talking to 49er head coach Bill Walsh, and he has talked with the orthopedic surgeon, and we'll get a full report then.
Play action, and Malone has Stallworth open and overshoots him at the 30-yard line. Stallworth was there. Harden hit him. The pass was too high, and the crowd is ready for Campbell.
Crowd didn't like it. John Stallworth, of course, one of the heroes around here for many a year, and he took quite a shot. Was up for the ball, and Mike Harden put one right on him, and that one's one that could have attracted a flag. It was late, right up into the chops.
3rd down, 7.
Stallworth has adapted out of the role of the underneath man rather well. He used to be the deep fly man in the days of Terry Bradshaw, but now with Lips taking it deep, Stallworth has a whole new career working underneath.
Malone on 3rd down, and that one is in and out of the hands of Weegee Thompson, who was covered by Louis Wright.
Wright's having a big night. They keep going against him, and he's always there. Been around a while, 12 years. Started out at Bakersfield College, as a matter of fact. Went off to San Jose State with a 9.6 sprinter, so he could lose a couple of steps and make up for it with the experience, and he's done that. And again, but that's a ball that should have been caught. A lot of drop balls tonight on the part of both ball clubs.
Malone is 4 out of 14 as Wilhite gets ready to accept the kick at his own 34. Newsom's kick, deep but not very high, and a run back for Wilhite, but he slips down. It's a break for the Steelers because he had a little bit more room as he takes it back to the 45-yard line. A look there at Louis Wright, whose Broncos lead 7-0, 6:51 to go in the half. Still drawing a blank offensively this year. At least tonight, well, a moral victory of sorts. Anderson did attempt the field goal.
And Malone has had a lot of drops tonight, as had Elway. Why, I don't know. It's not excessively warm that you would have damp hands from the humidity or the sweat.
1st and 10 from the 45, and it's knocked down, and it's knocked down by the face of Merriweather. He came in with his hands up.
He took it right in the face mask. Merriweather, they are using him a little more in the blitz now this year. There he is, number 57. And he just caught it right in the face. Shocked him more than anything, I believe. But they got away from him a little bit with the blitz a year ago after 15 blitzes in 1984. Now they are using him much more. And at least they plan to this season.
2nd down and 10 as Elway on the draw gives it to Sammy Winder. Out to the 49-yard line. It'll be 3rd and 6, and that's Keith Gary. And here's a man who could play a key part this year if he can give the Steelers the pass rush that was so lacking at times in '85.
He was a #1 draft pick a few years ago. Went off to Canada to play a couple of years, came back 1983, and he is kind of their designated pass rusher. Steve Gary, they bring him in when they drop into their 4-man, which they are playing a lot of this evening.
Flag was thrown, and McElwee indicating second down. And 20 back at the 35-yard line on a holding call.
Got a whole lot of folks changing in the Denver huddle as they get long yardage. We get Lang back in, good receiver out of the backfield. He stays in there with Winder.
Watson split left, and Sampson is wide to the right. Elway rolling, looking for Sampson. He comes back, but the pass is thrown away. Sampson couldn't get free, and so Elway just threw it away. He was chased by Nelson.
That's what I mean about Elway growing up. Elway probably, as a rookie or in his second year, would have tried to force that in there. He felt that he had to do it all, had to live up to everything that was said about him. His great career at Stanford. That time, he very wisely did not have a receiver he could get it into safely, so he just dumped it off and kept the drive alive. 3rd and long, sure, but at least he didn't turn it over.
Been a good weekend already for the Elway family. Father Jack, the head coach at Stanford, and his Cardinal took care of the Texas Longhorns 31-20 on Saturday. 3rd down and 20. 3 wide receivers sent to the right side, and it's Elway going over the middle to Sampson at the 47-yard line, but well shy of the first down. They had a 3rd and 20, and it's a 4th down and 7, and they'll have to kick it away with 5:52 to play in the half.
Conservative call, but you don't turn it over. You get it to Sampson, hoping you can break the tackle, get it out with about a 12-yard reception, then hope you can break off the run and get the first down. But what you don't do is you don't turn it over.
That's Rick Woods back to receive. And Jack Wheel to punt it away. Good high spiraling kick. Fair catch is called for, but Woods lets it bounce, and it will come back out to the 20-yard line. So let's see if the Steelers...
What did I do?
And Malone can get things going.
It was an artistic success, but it wound up as a touchback.
Cincinnati and Cleveland in the Battle of the Buckeye State. Boomer Esiason and the Bengals coming from behind, winning in overtime yesterday over Jim Kelly and the Bills. And then next Monday, the Bears escaping yesterday with an overtime win over Philadelphia, 2-0, still minus McMahon against the Packers, who are really staggering. First down from the 20-yard line. Screen is set up, and the one-hand catch is not made by Pollard.
Well, on a screen, you're supposed to invite the defense to come on in. When they pass the offensive line, you dump it over them. But when you invite Mecklenburg in there, he'll take everything with him. He pressured Malone into an early screen. He got in there a little too tight, right in Malone's face, and we get the incompletion because that screen was really well set up.
2nd down and 10.
That could have been a big play.
Looked like it was catchable, but still not a very good pass thrown by Malone, as Pollard had to reach for it. And there are Malone's numbers, dastardly, through 2 games. 2nd down and 10 from the 20-yard line. Stallworth, and it's ruled incomplete, fortunately for the Steelers.
How to lose friends if they're wide receivers and you're a quarterback, putting the ball up that high to a wide receiver because he knew he was going to get popped. Had a wide open John Stallworth who went up for it, and he took the shot from Mike Harden. Let's take a look at it again. And they are just dropping a lot of footballs tonight.
That's 6 consecutive incomplete passes.
Harden and Lilly, they really sandwiched Stallworth.
3rd down and 10, Steelers from their own 20. Denver ahead 7-0, 5 minutes to go in the half. Malone throws over the middle and nearly has it picked off. In and out of the hands of Ken Woodard, the linebacker. And listen
playing for years as a quarterback with Pittsburgh in the shadow of Terry Bradshaw, who did it all and did it all so well. Ken Woodard gets into this and should have picked it off. Number 52, the Denver linebacker, and it'll bring out the punting unit.
Malone is 4 out of 17 for 31 yards, coming off a 9 out of 27 week. Newsom's kick, Wilhite accepts it at the 34-yard line, and it's a 10-yard run back as he brings it to the 44. 7-0 Denver with 4:47 to play in the first half. And coming up on CFA College Football, a couple of regional battles for you this Saturday as the Trojans, off their win against Illinois, take on the Baylor Bears, 9th ranked, or Clemson taking on Georgia between the hedges in Athens. And college football today begins at 3 o'clock Eastern Time. Elway and the Broncos on first down. Lang, gain of 2, second down and 8 out at the 46.
Denver coming right back to the ground game. They used it very successfully on their drive that took them in for the touchdown, even though they had the Elway to Watson combination to get the score. They moved it on the ground very well in that drive, and they're coming right back with it.
Second and 8 at the 46-yard line. 4:15 remaining in the first half.
Safety blitz.
Elway off Lang's hands and incomplete. Blitz was on as Hinkle covered on the play.
But there's one thing that John Elway has not captured yet as a pro quarterback, and that is to take something off that ball a little bit. He can sting your hands, and he often does just that. And Lang had a little bit of a edge on the linebacker that was covering him on that defensive maneuver that was a safety blitz. He was 1 for 1, but Elway just had too much on it to handle.
Which quarterback had the best touch you ever witnessed?
I'll tell you, it's hard to beat Dan Marino right now. And real touch, Montana. They're different quarterbacks.
Third and 8. Elway underthrows it, intended for Sampson, and he was covered by Donnie Elder.
Probably does not throw that out to the right as well as he does to the left. Let's take a look at it again. Sampson taking it down, selling it to Donnie Elder, who was just picked up from the Jets at the beginning of the season. They let him go. Elder in there defensively for the Steelers, but it's hard to throw to your right because you really throw to with your arm unless you turn your body and then get the follow through. Elway gets it naturally when he throws to the left, so he underthrew that ball.
Jack Wheel standing at his 30. You saw Woods back at his own 15. Not much distance and a fair catch, and it's made at the 24-yard line by Woods. And Malone will stay in there. And how much longer can Noel afford to go with Malone the way things are going, Frank?
Well, he doesn't really have much of a choice. I think he certainly does not want to totally shatter a very fragile ego. And Mark Malone took quite a hammering in Seattle a week ago when he was 9 of 27. Chuck Noll went all the way with him, stayed with him. He's very patient, Chuck Noll. That's one of his great virtues, and you need it in coaching. He's a fine teacher, but behind him is a 6-foot quarterback named Scott Campbell, a rookie behind him, Bobby Brister. Who do you go to? Malone has proved in the past that he can do it.
First and 10, and it's off the hands of Pollard.
Somebody broke that pattern, pure and simple. Pollard was right in front of the other Steeler receiver. And they don't line up like ducks in this game. There it is. Lips had set into a hitch. Pollard moved right into the pattern, set up right in front of it. I think that Malone was looking for Lips, number 83. Here he is. And Pollard got right into the pattern. Could have been a disaster. Deflected and picked off.
8 consecutive incompletions, 3:54 to go in the half. Denver ahead 7-0.
And that was not Malone's fault, nor have been the drops.
Second and 10 from the 24-yard line. Complete to the 35, and a Bronx cheer in western Pennsylvania on the catch by Stallworth.
Stallworth working against Steve Wilson. Steve Wilson, 5'10". Wasn't bad coverage. Former Dallas Cowboy found a home in Denver. Stallworth driving. Wilson right with him too long. The official could have dropped the flag on that if he wanted to. Only can make that contact for 5 yards. Wilson went for about 12 with it.
1st and 10 from the 36-yard line. Malone throws, and he hits Stallworth again at the 49-yard line, and he really gets racked up. Hundley is right there, along with Steve Wilson.
They pay the price, those wide receivers. They turn it back inside, and you get it in there a little slowly. They know they're going to get a shot. And the good ones, they're the ones that hold on to it year in and year out, just like this one. John Stallworth again. Wilson is the man they're working against. Stallworth knew he was going to get that shot. Holds on and gets the first down in midfield.
2:35 to go in the half. As we come down to the end of the half, the Steelers have 2 timeouts remaining, and it's Ehrenberg. And that sort of stops the flow of this drive momentarily. It'll be 2nd down and 9 with the ball right at the 50-yard line. That's Darren Como in on the tackle.
You got to run him once in a while to keep him semi-honest. Pittsburgh really relying on their passing game now here in the late moments of the first half, but you got to keep it on the ground once in a while, at least to keep those defensive linemen from thinking nothing but pass.
Meanwhile, we'll see if they can get the play off before the 2-minute warning, and they, I don't think, do. Can you believe that? They line up, and it wasn't as if they were waiting for the 2-minute warning. They were unaware of exactly what the clock was saying as it rolled down to exactly 2, and the snap was made, but it was too late. 7-0 Denver. Clock. Couldn't get it off. He's got 2 timeouts remaining. The ball is at the 50-yard line. His club trails 7-0. It's 2nd down, 10 at midfield. He's got Stallworth wide left, Lips wide to the right. Malone going deep for Lips. Double covered, tipped, and volleyball away. Louis Wright covering on the play, along with Dennis Smith.
Kind of a wasted play. You have to have a check off there. They had double coverage all the way. Louis Wright in great position. Dennis Smith, a Pro Bowl safety man, had lined up. They had him covered inside out. Malone just threw the ball up in the air. He actually was throwing the ball away, but he almost had it picked off. But it's a ball where you don't throw. You come into an underneath man, keep something alive, get something out of it. He knew as soon as he looked up this was going to be double coverage. He couldn't have missed it. 49 and 20, they're there. You got to find somebody else.
3rd down and 10. Steelers' deepest penetration tonight was the 32-yard line, whence they missed a 50-yard field goal attempt by Anderson. Malone throwing underneath, and it's incomplete, intended for Rich Ehrenberg.
And another drop. They would have been short of the first down, but again, another drop for Malone. Maybe understandable, and Ehrenberg was really questionable coming in tonight. He had a slightly separated shoulder of a week ago, and obviously the man who forced Malone to go to Ehrenberg is John Stallworth, and Malone is jawing on him right there.
That wasn't a smile right there. He came off grinning before. Newsom, the punt. With 1:40 to go in the half, it's Wilhite at the 14, and he takes it back out to the 18-yard line. So Denver will begin its drive from there. You know, Frank, you mentioned, and you're right, you're dealing with a fragile ego. You've got Malone, he's your guy, but you know, if you're Noel and you go back into that locker room right now, you're looking at a game and a half and you've been shut out and you've really got nothing going. He's got to start thinking about, at least thinking about Campbell.
Well, they were struggling their final preseason game against the Giants. They have been struggling right along, but nevertheless, I think that when you think about what you do to your #1 quarterback, if you pull him out of there, it becomes, well, how do you trade off? Trade off hurting him and maybe really ruining his season for him? And do you have really the strength to go to on the bench? And I don't think they have it on Scott Campbell or Bobby Brister, the rookie.
1st and 10 from the 19-yard line, and over the middle it's Watson, and he has a first down on a 12-yard pickup. And the Broncos have all of their timeouts left, and they spend their first right here. That stops the clock. Denver has it 1st and 10 at its own 31-yard line with 1 minute and 25 seconds to play in the first half. Well, quarterbacks, the topic tonight, with Elway, one of the best in the league and on his way to becoming maybe as good as they've been. And Malone having his troubles tonight. And, of course, the other story this weekend is Montana. And we'll be talking to Bill Walsh, the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers, at halftime. So there's Elway, a man who, well, he grew up with a coach. His father, a high school coach, and then a college coach at Cal State Northridge. And remember when John was recruited by Stanford, there were some rumors at the time that maybe his father would come along and get the job. And isn't it ironic that Elway went through his whole career at Stanford, mainly under the tutelage of Paul Wiggin, and then John leaves and his father does get the Stanford job.
Quite a family, too. I've had an opportunity to meet them. Very involved in a lot of community affairs on the Bay Area, as you well know, Al. And they have to be proud of this genetic marvel, because he is that. He is one of the fine arms, and as I said earlier tonight, he just keeps improving almost with every game. Got the size for it. He's 6'3", he's 210, got the head for it, he's got the mentality. There's something that burns inside this youngster that says, you're just not going to beat me.
From the 31-yard line, a little shovel pass a la Lee Gross Cup to Steve Sewell, who takes it just about back to the line of scrimmage.
Hurry-up offense. They've called a couple of plays in the huddle, just on the thought that it would not pick up good yardage.
Shotgun, second down, 9. And he rifles it to Wilhite, and Wilhite, I believe, has the first down. He stepped out right about the stripe.
Good read quickly by Elway. They were giving Elway that, so he took it. He has plenty of time. He has a couple of timeouts, so he took the 11-yard pickup, gets the first down, and also stops the clock. He read it right away, didn't fool around deep, because the Steelers were doubling both the wides deep.
2 timeouts remaining for the Broncos. First and 10 at the 41, 1:03 to play. First half. Shotgun. Elway, high throw and incomplete, intended for Sampson, and he was covered by Harvey Clayton, the corner.
Another one that could have been caught. It was high and a difficult catch, but it was certainly one that could have been caught. And Elway, I think, is blaming himself now. We'll look at it again. Sampson with the drive, making it look good. Clayton on the coverage, goes up, got his hands on it, but it's incomplete. Stops the clock, 58 seconds.
Second and 10, Broncos from the 41-yard line. Sampson left and Watson right out of the gun.
Full blitz.
Gets it away, looking for Sampson. He's out in front, and he can't make the diving catch. Looked like he timed his dive perfectly. Hinkle popped Elway after he released it. The pass was there, but right off his fingertips.
The timing, Vance Johnson, the speedster who went out in the Raider game with the knee injury, would have been coming back for this one. Sampson has good speed, but he's not at the blazing speed of a Vance Johnson. Elway has worked all through training camp with Vance Johnson. He's worked in until this past week with Vance Johnson, and he put this pass up under tremendous pressure with a full safety blitz. Had it been Vance Johnson, I think you got 6 points. As it was a great effort by Clint Sampson. Timing is so important between the quarterback and the receiver, and you saw it right there.
Third down, 10, Broncos. Sewell goes in motion from the 41-yard line. They send everyone into the pattern, including Wilhite, and Wilhite gets decked. And a nice play there by Clayton, who had to fend off the blocker. Billy Bryan was right there, and Clayton came barreling through.
Elway again wanted to go downfield. Has to settle for this. Gets Bryan in front of it. And a good play by Clayton, who it does appear as if the Denver Broncos are working on this evening.
5'9", 180 is he, taking care of a man at 6'2", 255.
Defense again for Pittsburgh. I mentioned earlier they were second in the NFL against the pass a year ago. They were a good, strong defensive team all last year. They just couldn't put points up. They were 6th overall in the league a year ago. They're playing well tonight.
Jack Wheel punting for the 6th time in the game. Rick Woods is back at his 20. And the clock has run out. As the crowd boos, they wanted the Steelers to take a timeout on defense, at least to have some sort of opportunity. And Chuck Noll figures I better go back and come up with some new X's and O's for the third period. Of Purdue and Ken Bell. Bell is on the left. Rookie out of Boston College. Ready to receive. Ken Bell from the 1. Broncos get it at the 27-yard line. Alertly there is Hackett, the backup tight end, number 85, Joey Hackett.
I look at it again. That ball bounced out of that. It could have been a big break for the Steelers. Bell hit very hard. And fortunately for the Broncos, they had a sure-handed receiver type there to cover it in Hackett.
So Denver, 1st and 10. From the 27-yard line, Bronx on top, 7-0. Sammy Winder for a gain of about 3 out to the 30, and it'll be 2nd down, 7.
Denver coming right back with what worked for them in the second quarter, and that is the ground game featuring Winder. Again, coaches both telling us before the game, we've got to get the running game going. You get it going, and you have a tremendous edge because you can move the ball, keep control of the game, and come with a play-action pass if you want to.
2nd and 7, Winder in motion. Elway looks toward Wilhite, and then a one-handed catch by Watson. Out to the 37-yard line. He now moves past Haven Moses into number 3 on the Bronco all-time receiving list behind Lionel Taylor and Riley Odoms.
Isn't it amazing? Watson had dropped one earlier deep downfield. One hands this one, pulls it in, and makes a tremendous catch out of it. Gets the first down. But sometimes the easy ones are the difficult ones. He doesn't drop many, I can tell you that. He came up as a free agent 8 years ago, and he has been spectacular.
4 catches for him tonight on the ground, and straight up the middle goes Sammy Winder for a gain of a couple. To the 40, it'll be 2nd down, 8. And there are the numbers for the first 30 minutes.
Of course, Denver with 152 yards to 66 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Denver picking up a lot of that on their scoring drive that led to their 21-yard touchdown pass, Elway to Watson. The one turnover in the game. Steelers one scoring opportunity, a long field goal attempt by Gary Anderson that was long enough but wide.
2nd and 8 from the 40-yard line. Elway throwing. Wilhite. And a penalty flag is thrown as he goes out of bounds at the 46-yard line.
Taken out of bounds by
Referee tonight, Bob McElwee. And the call going against Pittsburgh. Well, the crowd with its ups and its downs tonight, it is so quiet here right now, relatively speaking, and then there are those bursts normally for the defense. They've had very little to cheer about offensively tonight. The options are now being explained to Elway here. The play took it out to the 45-yard line.
Number 57 defense, 5 yards, automatic first down.
That contact was made by Mike Merriweather beyond the 5 yards in which he is allowed to harass the receiver. And there's Merriweather in on the tackle. For the life of me, I don't know what that was. They said illegal contact. Merriweather came into the play late. Unless it was indeed on Robin Cole and they just give it the wrong number.
It amounts to a first down for Denver from the 45-yard line. Winder on a draw play. Takes it out to the 48. He is stopped there by Gary Dunn, the man in the middle out of the University of Miami. Do you know there are 23 former Hurricanes currently playing in the NFL, and 10 of them are defensive linemen. And both men tonight, Reuben Carter, and there's Campbell, who's shaking his head, but he is warming up on the side. But you've got the 2 nose tackles in there tonight. Jim Burt would be another from Miami of the New York Giants, as the pass is caught at the 46-yard line by Steve Watson, but he is shy of the first down. Harvey Clayton providing the coverage.
Another fine catch by Watson, and we'll put Denver into short yardage. We mentioned that Campbell was warming up. He's warming up with Mark Malone.
Yeah, I'm just looking down there right now, and he is. And it appears to be Malone who will come in, because Malone has Sweeney catching Campbell's passes and then just handing the ball back to him, even though both have their helmets on. There's Malone. 3rd down and 1. Winder fights his way for the first.
Good hard running by Winder. Getting a block from Brian Cooper. And they've been using him almost exclusively on the ground game.
Enough for the first down, barely, but he keeps it going, and the ball is at the 45 as you look over the shoulder of Lewis Lips. Pittsburgh offensive unit waiting to get back in, but the Broncos have other ideas at the outset of the third period as Elway escapes the tackle and throws and has Clarence Kay wide open. He gets inside the 20. The tight end is inside the 15. Down he goes at the 11-yard line, run down by Harvey Clayton. So Clarence Kay for the second time tonight wide open.
That's what Elway can do for you. Watch him spin away, and a lot of quarterbacks would have gone down by the safety blitz. Donnie Shell, he spun out and quickly had his composure back together again. He finds Kay, and Kay takes a play that could have been a sack back of midfield all the way to the 11-yard line. That is the extra bonus and plus you get with an athletic John Elway.
1st and 10. Broncos at the 11. Opening drive of the second half. 10:20 to go, third quarter. Sewell carries out of the tailback spot, and the versatile one takes it to the 10 for a gain of 1, and it'll be 2nd down and 9. Now I know why Campbell was shaking his head when we had the handheld on him. He was saying, no, I'm not coming in. I'm just warming Malone up.
He tried to tell us. Elway now, he'll come back with the pass. He's going to put Watson out to the left. Watson is very good down in the end zone. But he also has the big tight end that they like to go to, Clarence Kay. Not often used as a receiver, but he's good down here.
2nd down and 9, and Elway fires and behind the intended receiver, Sampson. He's covered on the play by Eric Williams. So it'll be 3rd down and 9 from the 10-yard line.
Elway had to release that, and there was good coverage by Williams, but Elway felt the pressure and turned it loose. Danny Reeves, by the way, handles the offensive calls. He is working with Mike Shanahan, the offensive coordinator, up in the booth. Elway very happy to have the plays called in, very satisfied with that situation, according to Reeves.
Good time for an option pass. You never know what the Broncos are liable to try. Here comes Sewell in motion. He can throw him, but he's going into the pattern this time. Elway to the screen for Wilhite. Incomplete. Good pressure that time put on by the Steelers, forcing the issue. 4th down. On comes Carlos.
He had the right man. He wanted to get to Wilhite, and you can see that Rick Woods tried to get back into the coverage. That was his man. Wilhite all the way. Elway read it beautifully and just did not put it where it should have been. That was 6 points as Woods was coming up, and it was read well by Wilhite. He got to the outside. Elway just didn't get it there.
The backup QB, Gary Kubiak, comes in to hold, and he'll spot it down at the 18-yard line. 28-yard chip shot for Rich Carlos. So the Broncos on a long drive and what figured to be an easy 3. And the next thing you know, back come the Steelers. Still down by only 7.
High snap, but they were able to get it down. Wheeled, the punter had it down in time, and they missed from close in. By Seattle. They have had little or no offense here tonight. They had one opening drive against Seattle that took them to the 6-yard line. They failed to score on that. And other than that, they in their final preseason game against the Giants, they were ineffective. So they're on a 3-game roll.
On 1st down, play fake, Malone to the air, and it is caught for a 1st down at the 34 by John Stallworth. So a promising beginning on Pittsburgh's first drive of the third period.
This is what really puzzles you, because you have Stallworth on one side, Louis Lips on the other side, and every now and then it works like a clock. He had good protection, did Mark Malone. Stallworth runs brilliant patterns. He was wide open, and you would think you could just move right down the field, but that has not been the case tonight. There have been drop balls. Malone has underthrown, overthrown, and they just have not generated any kind of a drive.
1st down from the 35-yard line, and Malone to the air again, throwing to the right side. Man is open. First down, 48. Lewis lips. Lou goes the crowd.
This is what you should expect from these two outside receivers. Two perfectly timed plays and 2 first downs. Louis Wright again, the defender, but you just have to respect Lips going deep. Wright went to a full sprint with him. Lips planted the foot, came back. He was wide open. You're not going to cover him one-on-one if your quarterback has time to throw the football, and they're giving Malone time to throw the football.
First and 10, Pittsburgh at the 47-yard line. Denver ahead, 7-0, 8 minutes to go in the third. And Malone throws complete to Ehrenberg, slight shoulder separation and all, and he takes it to the 43-yard line, stopped there by Tom Jackson. By the way, as you look into the middle of that Pittsburgh line tonight, and you see something unusual, and 51, Dan Turk is the center. You know who's always there, of course, is Mike Webster, who hadn't missed a game since 1974, but he's on the injured reserve list with a dislocated elbow after playing in 177 straight.
And Greenstra, the rookie first-round draft pick at left guard, his first start of the year.
Second down and 6. A little looking, and it's complete to Lewis Lips and a first down. And the crowd finally has something to cheer about him. It's not Boo, it's Lou.
It's so easy, and yet they have struggled with it, not only through the Seattle game, but the first half of tonight. Two outstanding receivers. You protect your quarterback. They're doing just that. And Lips on a simple little slant in right in front of Louis Wright, and you got another first down, and you move right down the field. Where was it earlier?
Stallworth wide left, and Lips is wide to the right from the 33-yard line. Malone playing the same hand, and this time to Ehrenberg at the 28-yard line for a gain of about 5. And Ricky Hundley, the linebacker, makes the tackle, and everything must hurt. Again, Ehrenberg with that slightly separated shoulder, but still in there.
You get the feeling that Chuck Noll at halftime put up about 4 or 5 plays and said, we're going to make these work. And what they are simple patterns to the outstanding wide receivers, Lips and Stallworth. You work Ehrenberg out of the backfield if you get double coverage out there, and that's all they've done. They've marched right down the field. There's going to be nothing fancy, nothing cute. Chuck Noll wants to see the basics work.
Malone is 5 out of 5 on this drive, and they give it to Hughes, and he takes it to the 24-yard line. So they try to keep him a little honest as David Hughes, the backup running back, carries. Hughes, who was recently waived by Seattle, grew up in Hawaii, played his college ball at Boise State, and picked up by the Steelers as insurance.
We watched him a couple of times on Monday night, Al. He's had some good games for Seattle. He caught 12 passes in one game against Kansas City for a Seattle pass receiving single game record.
Third down and 1. Hughes, and not this time, as he runs into the Broncos at the 25-yard line. He runs into them collectively, led by Foley and Ryan.
Oh, he's furious. And not at the call.
Meanwhile, here come Campbell and Anderson.
A beautiful drive. They get it into short yardage situation, and they didn't even come close to making that. They were beat off the line of scrimmage by a good defensive team, but it's not a dominating defensive team. Danny Reeves will tell you that. The Pittsburgh Steelers were just blown away on that one. They didn't get the offensive penetration you think you should get. Certainly when you're trying to keep your one drive of the night alive, as Harden, where Denver is slow getting up, the defensive cornerback. He looks to be all right, however. So you have to bring out the place kicker, and for what appears to be settling for 3 points instead of trying to keep a 7-point drive alive.
Gary Anderson, who has led the AFC in scoring in each of the last 3 years, has missed a 50-yarder tonight. This is his second attempt. It comes at an angle. It'll be spotted at the 33. 43-yard kick. Campbell holding. Snap good, shows the placement. Kick is deep enough, and the kick is perfect. And finally, after, let's see, it would be 100 minutes and 6 seconds, the Steelers score.
He knew right away he's perhaps the best in the game today, Gary Anderson, or he certainly will be when he kicks 5 more. and gets to qualify for all-time percentage of accuracy leader.
When it comes time to take your business on the road, some weighty problems can arise. Information can disappear, time can be lost in the shuffle, and productivity can take a tumble. Presenting the IBM PC Convertible, a powerful personal computer that easily converts to a full-function portable. An IBM PC you can use on a train, a plane, at home, even in your car. It runs many of today's most popular business programs and is available with a modem to let you communicate with other computers and a snap-on printer to let you print reports on the spot. All to make you a big deal on the road and a big hit back in the office. The IBM PC Convertible. One computer for people who really need two. See your authorized dealer or call IBM.
This is Jeep's all-new 4-liter 6-cylinder engine. It has sequential molded-point electronic fuel injection. It puts out 173 horsepower and 220 foot-pounds of torque. But most important, if you put this new engine in a Jeep Cherokee or Jeep Comanche, you're going to see more speed and power than you've ever seen from vehicles like this. Just remember where you saw it first.
The Cincinnati Bengals, guided by the hot hand of Boomer Esiason. The Cleveland Browns, Bernie Kosar hopes he can match the firepower. An ABC Thursday night NFL special.
Al Michaels and Frank Gifford in Pittsburgh as Anderson kicks off and a beauty.
He pumped up.
So after his 42-yard field goal, the Denver Broncos take over at their own 20-yard line, 1st and 10. And here comes Elway. You know, Frank, we talked about obviously what a great athlete he is, and I think most people know Elway was drafted by the New York Yankees and spent one season playing minor league baseball. Of course, opting for football, but there's an interesting little thing. Elway and Dan Marino, of course, coming out of the same football draft in 1983, but they were in another draft as well. On 1st down from the 20-yard line, Elway sets up the screen, and it's Mark Jackson, the rookie, who takes it out past the 30, and a nice move as he gets it out to the 37-yard line. So Mark Jackson out of Purdue, stopped by Mike Merriweather.
Good speed, Mark Jackson. He just does not have the experience, and when Vance Johnson went down a week ago, they felt they better come back with Clint Sampson, who had worked on the flanker side, and they moved him over. But they want to take a long look at this youngster, a rookie 6th-round draft pick with the good speed and obviously some pretty heady running. Thinks when he runs, and he gets the 1st down out of the 37.
1st and 10 Broncos from the 37-yard line as they had Watson in the backfield, send him in motion, and a quick toss out here to Tony Bodie out of the USFL, who makes his 1st run of the night. Good for a couple. Anyway, Frank, in the 1979 baseball draft, baseball this is now, Jay Schrader, who's now the Washington quarterback, was picked in the 1st round by the Toronto Blue Jays. And there it is, Dan Marino. People forget about this. The Royals picked him in round 4. John Elway was picked in the 18th round, opted not to sign. And look at the bottom of the graphic. All those guys will pick the head of Don Mattingly.
Comes around, goes around. Wide open Watson.
2nd down, and that's complete to the 45, and a 1st down as Harvey Clayton was covering on the play.
Clayton, who was severely beaten by Watson earlier on a 21-yard touchdown catch, well, he's just giving up too much ground. Clayton's a better football player than he's giving himself credit for. He was off Watson by about 8 or 10 yards. You don't even see him in the shot. Watson does not have that kind of speed. You don't have to worry about Watson going that deep. He'll go deep, but I mean, you can run with him. He was so far off him. He's just terrified of Watson after getting turned around on that zig out that Watson put on him for the touchdown. The only touchdown of the game. He knows it also.
Meanwhile, David Little, linebacker, shaken up on the play. He's interchangeable with Dennis Winston, who's in there right now. 1st and 10. Denver at the Pittsburgh 43. Sewell in motion. Double reverse. Sewell 43-yard line.
Winston followed that all the way from his inside linebacking position. But these are good plays to run, particularly when you have a lead. It keeps the defense honest. It keeps the pursuit down. You bring it back, and gadget plays are cute and fun, but they are also meaningful. You take everything to the right, and you don't do something to bring it back, you're going to have that constant pursuit, and it's hard to turn the corner. You do that once or twice, and the pursuit is going to think. The defense is going to hesitate just a moment, and that's what happened there.
2nd and 10, contact made. I think I said double reverse. It was a single reverse, of course. Mattingly's name appeared, and I thought about doubles.
Number 98, defense. Still 2nd down.
Gerald Williams with the encroachment. Clock stopped right now. It's been a fast quarter. 1:53 to play in the 3rd. Broncos on top 7-3.
Good to know they can play a fast quarter.
Yeah, that's
All
right.
you need to do is keep a drive alive, and we'll get out of here by midnight.
We were sure beginning to wonder, weren't we?
These things are turning into brunch.
Will Hyde in motion, and Winder through the middle, charging ahead, close to a first. He takes it to the 33-yard line. Sammy Winder trying to get the tough yardage. He was very instrumental on their drive that culminated in the only touchdown of the game, a pass to Watson in the 2nd quarter. Winder, going back to last season and coming into tonight's game, had averaged only 2.8 yards per rush in his last 8 games. So the Broncos trying to get things in gear on the ground because he's their prime man. 3rd and a yard. Fake to Winder. Look, and he's got Sewell wide open for a touchdown. Oh, talk about beautiful ball handling. That play almost looked like it was in slow motion as you watched it with a naked eye.
Great call coming down from the box to Dan Reeves. Mike Shanahan, we assume, called for the fake play action. Well hidden by Elway, just like he did a week ago when he went in for that touchdown pass. He handed off to Sewell. It sort of slumped out to the sidelines before he put on the sprint. But look how open he is, and what a nightmare of a night it is for Harvey Clayton. Watson has been spinning him like a top, and this time he was looking at Elway, read Elway's fake, and Sewell went right by him. It's going to be a tough day at the movies with a videotape for Harvey Clayton tomorrow.
Carlos with the extra point. It was great watching that play. It's as if all of the action just froze outside of Elway and Sewell, and of course Clayton in futile pursuit. Broncos now lead 14-3.
All right, Sam, you all right?
On a 12-yard run, the other a 2-yard run. He catches one tonight, and Carlos kicks off with Denver ahead 14-3, and it's a short kick, and it's fielded up at the 14-yard line by Warren Seitz, a tight end by trade, and sometime running back, as was the case briefly in Seattle last week, out to the 27.
Now, John Elway is off to a tremendous start. Last week he was 21 of 35, 240 yards, 239 yards against the Raiders. No interceptions, a couple of touchdowns. He's already 19 of 34 tonight, 227 yards and a couple of touchdowns. Hard to say just how good this youngster can be.
We'll see him one more time on a Monday. We have Denver at the Jets in October. Malone on first down from the 27-yard line, shoots one out, nowhere. Lips was sort of in the neighborhood, sort of.
Well, they are booing. He was open, but what Malone saw was double coverage out there, and he had double coverage. He had Wright underneath, and he had Dennis Smith deep. Malone saw it. I guess maybe at this point, the way things have gone last week and thus far tonight, he's a little bit gun-shy. He could have got it in there, but he would have had to would have taken a very confident quarterback, and I don't think that's what he is right now. He's a shaken quarterback.
2nd and 10 from the 27-yard line. The tackle and turns it into a nice little gain out to the 32-yard line, but he still comes up about 5 yards shy. In a way, though, Frank, you could really see this coming when we saw the Steelers in preseason, even though on the night we caught them, they scored a lot of points against Dallas, but you knew they were very concerned about the offense. They had the talent outside, but the other parts, the other component parts, were worrying them.
And they had the injuries. They now have the injured players back, particularly Abercrombie and Pollard. They're playing better. They have Borey's back. Rinstra, their rookie, is playing, but they have not played long enough together to be effective. Beginning of this season, the banner says, what about Campbell? Scott Campbell, they're talking about, a 6-foot quarterback out of Purdue that ranks only behind Mark Herman up there. He started a couple of games last year, did Scott Campbell, who a lot of people would like to see come into this game now, relieving Mark Malone. He started the Redskins and Giants game, and he lost both of those games. I think Chuck, again, is worried about the fragility of the ego and the emotions of Mark Malone. He wants to go with him as long as he can.
On 3rd and 5, it is complete to the 40-yard line to Weegee Thompson, and that's only the second time in 11 attempts that the Steelers tonight have converted on 3rd down. So they keep the drive going on the initial play of the 4th quarter.
And behind Mark, Scott Campbell would be Bubby Brister, a rookie out of northeast Louisiana. We saw him down in Dallas. Al appeared, while he has talent, he's got a lot to learn.
And he has his backers. From the 41-yard line. Malone throwing for Lips, who had fallen down, gets back up, makes the catch, gets to the 41. He had slipped to his knees, had Lips, and he got back up and still makes the catch.
That'll tell you how open he was. The flag is down. And we're going to have a holding call, but it's worth looking at again as Louis Lips works Louis right to the inside, slips wide open. Louis again respecting that speed. And a holding call is going to bring it all back. When the wheels come off, they all come off.
Back to the 31-yard line, so the 10-yard penalty. 1st and 20. Stallworth wide left and Lips wide right. Hughes and Abercrombie are the setbacks behind Malone. 4-man rush, and Malone throws into a lot of traffic and gets it there anyway to the 47 to John Stallworth, throwing it over 2 Broncos and another Steeler and into the arms of number 82. It'll be 2nd down and 5.
He was actually, I think, throwing to the tight end. Guitard. Wilson loses Stallworth as he breaks back inside of him. Guitard even, I think, got a finger on that ball. So, very fortunate reception for the Steelers.
2nd down and 4 from the 47. For Stallworth, and he's
the flag on that.
Steve Wilson, little doubt about it. Wilson almost piggybacking him.
One way to cover him. Having a tough time otherwise. Made Wilson look to the outside, broke it to the inside. He knew he was beaten.
Pass interference. Automatic 1st down.
Wilson had a handful of him, and he knew he was beaten. He was beaten actually to the outside. He was beaten back to the inside, so he just grabbed on, took the ride.
Well, that's not a play subject to review by the replay official, but that is what you call indisputable visual evidence.
Well, one and all to see.
Denver ahead 14-3. Steelers at the Bronco 43. 13-12 to go in the 4th. And incomplete over the middle, looking for Gothard, the tight end.
Just a reminder, Al, tomorrow on Good Morning America, special program coming up. David Hartman talks with President Corazon Aquino about the future of the Philippines and its importance to our country. So watch David tomorrow, his report from the Philippines on Good Morning America.
Pittsburgh, 2nd down and 10 at the Denver 43-yard line. 13:08 to play in the 4th. Broncos trying to go 2-0 course, coming in 0-1. Malone steps up, throws, complete at the 30-yard line. He's got Stallworth there for a first down. 1st and 10 at the 30.
Steve Wilson again. And this time Steve is slow getting up. But again, when you're covering a legend, it is difficult. And Steve Wilson has had his problems tonight, just as Harvey Clayton has had his troubles for Pittsburgh.
So an injury timeout. It comes with 12:50 to go in the 4th in Pittsburgh, where the Broncos lead 14-3.